All right, very good. Okay, the lesson today, I'm going to tell you what the lesson is, and then if you'd like to, I'll pray for you this afternoon. So this is, if you guys remember, we had been doing like the kind of character studies, the psychology of, and we had all the different characters. We did like Pinocchio and Peter Pan and Elon Musk and Michael Jordan, stuff like that. Who is here for the Masculinity and Manhood series? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So that we started that in August. We did it August, September, I think in some in October. You have a question, or were you saying you were here? Okay, I got you. So what we're doing is we shifted, we finished that, we did 10 weeks of that. We did the character studies, we did the character psychologies, and this is, we're basically jumping back into the manhood masculinity, but this is basically lesson 11, because there's a few that I wasn't able to get to the last time we did this series. This series, or this lesson today, is Manners Maketh, does anyone know? Man. Very good. Manners maketh man. That was something that I really taught my son, Manners maketh man. I also, my nephew, he's younger. He's some of you guys met my nephew during the Christmas party. You guys remember him? He's pretty young. I think he's 11 when he was, something like that. But he's a big kid. You remember him? You met him. I think you met him. So anyway, that's something that I've been trying to instill in him as well. Manners maketh man. Was that your table? Yeah, that was him. Yep. That's my nephew. So that's what we're doing today. That's what we're going to talk about. But is it okay before we get started if I go ahead and pray for you? Okay. Yes, sir. All right, let's go ahead and pray. Father God, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for these guys. I just thank you for them. I pray you bless and you guide them. Thank you for the opportunity just to try and invest a little bit into them as they even invest into me. I pray you would bless and guide this time. Give us mutual respect for one another. I pray that you would just be with us even today and the rest of their day as they do other fun stuff at the end of this session after dinner. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. Again, these are lessons. All these lessons are the masculinity and manhood lessons. These are lessons that either I learned when I was a young man like you guys, or they're lessons I wish I would have learned. You guys remember some of the topics we covered? I just want to kind of roll through them and kind of refresh your memory a little bit. Way back in August, I think there was only 4 of you, I think, that rose your hand there. We talked about it was okay to be a man. We talked about personal responsibility, and that lesson was called It's All Your Fault. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. We talked about self-deprivation. We talked about true meekness. Do you guys remember the true meekness one, the ones that were here? Wait. I'm going to have to redo these, man. There's so many of you didn't get them, and it's good stuff. We talked about how to win, how to lose. We talked about servant leadership, if you guys remember that at all. Some about work ethic. We talked about processing pain. I don't know if you guys remember that at all. And then we talked about who's in the driver's seat. That was kind of the start of the character studies, because that one was about the Incredible Hulk. We talked about keeping your anger in check. And then we talked about brain function. That was in October. That was kind of the last one. That was the last one we did. We talked about brain function, how our brains develop in you guys as adolescents. It's moving in a back, bottom to front, top development.
That wasn't the last one we did.
Well, I think it was the last one in the gym, I think. But I've taught that lesson before in other places, I think. Then we went to the character study stuff. Yes, sir?
The last one was Pinocchio.
That was the character study ones. That was part of we went from the masculinity and manhood, and we went to the character studies, which was the people, like Pinocchio and whatever. So, okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is what I want to talk to you about. The manners maketh man. This is what young men should know about manners, image, speech, and chivalry. I bet half of you don't even know what chivalry means, do you?
It means you're scared, you're shivering.
No. It doesn't mean not shivering. Chivalry. All right, so self-care. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Self-care shows how much you care. Now, I know that kind of may sound kind of silly or whatever, but self-care shows how much you care first about yourself, and then if someone is looking at you, they're going to take how you take care of yourself, and they're going to say, okay, if that's how he takes care of himself, how well is he going to take care of other things or other people? If you can't take care of yourself, why would someone believe you're going to take care of something else, like a responsibility or a relationship or something like that? If you don't respect yourself, Why would anyone think that you would respect anything else? Because really that's the first step, is taking care of yourself and respecting yourself. And we're going to do it in this way. We're going to talk about self-care. We're going to talk about your speech. Then we're going to talk about manners. Okay? And is this kind of a hodgepodge? You guys remember that word that I use? Is this kind of a mix, kind of a smithering of things in those topics? And if you have questions, please raise your hand. Yes, Moses.
I already had a question for you, Rodney. I'm not
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, what
Go
age
ahead.
do you think people develop like self-control? You know what I'm saying? Like develop like complete control over themselves.
So what I want you to do with that, I'm going to have you write it on that because that's for a whole nother lesson. That's a really good question. But write it on that, give it right back to me, and then I'll give you another blank one for you to fill out later, okay? All right, good question though. All right, very good. I already got one. Good job. All right, self-care is this. It includes a couple things. One thing it includes is basic hygiene. This is basic hygiene. This is cleanliness. This is keeping yourself clean, smell, hair, and your hair being appropriate to the situation that you're in, your style, appropriate to the situation that you're in, brushing your teeth, just basic hygiene stuff, taking care of yourself, showering every day, things like that. Sometimes people struggle with different things that, like, I can't get a fix on, maybe my feet smell, okay? Sometimes people can, it's just a thing. Sometimes people can wash their feet and wash their feet and wash their feet, and they still have like a smell to them. There's ways to fix that, and if you're having trouble, if basic like just washing or whatever isn't helping, talk to somebody, talk to a staff, because there's ways of taking care of that, okay? I don't want you to think like, forever my feet are gonna stink or whatever. Dress, no matter what style, okay? You guys listening? No matter what style, your clothes ought to be neat, they ought to be clean, no big holes, no rips, no big stains. I don't care if they're pajamas or if it's a 5-piece suit and you're going out for dinner. Also, like your appearance, like your hair, that sort of thing, your clothes should be appropriate to the situation that you're in. So obviously, if you're just lounging around the house, you don't have to wear a suit, right? But if you're gonna go before a judge, if you're gonna have even a meeting, I would even say like with a PO, anyone with some kind of authority that has some sort of influence on your life, I would, if I was you, it's not a hard and fast rule. We're not requiring this. This is up to you guys. But I would say, hey, staff, I'm going into court tomorrow, or I'm going to court this afternoon. Do you have a collared shirt I can wear? Or like a polo or something? Or, hey, I need to meet with Doug, the director. Can I just pop on a collared shirt or something? I want to present myself appropriate to the situation. If you go into court, and I mean, you have the freedom to do this. I mean, these are just suggestions, right? These are not hard and fast rules. I'm just trying to give you suggestions, okay? If you go into court and you have a hoodie on, and you got that hood way up, and you're sitting all slouch, and your eyes are down, and if that judge or a lawyer or even the PO is looking at you, what do they think you're gonna think, or what are they gonna think about you in that courtroom setting? Do they gonna think you care or you don't care? Don't. Very good. That's a pay attention prize, Austin. They're gonna maybe not rightly, but they're gonna judge just based on your appearance, how you're sitting, how you're dressed. He's not taking it seriously. But if you come into that courtroom or you come to that meeting with the PO or a director or whatever, and you're sitting up straight, you have a collared shirt on, your eyes are up and looking forward, what is the judge gonna think?
He cares.
At least in that moment, right? He's paying attention. He cares, right? So your dress, basic hygiene, it should be appropriate to the situation. I'll say it this way. Please don't ever wear pajamas to Walmart. Please, it hurts me. Every time I'm at Walmart, guaranteed, I'll be sitting in my car, I'll be walking in, and there's somebody that goes into Walmart in their pajamas. Now, is that against the rules? Well, it's not against the rules, right? I mean, Walmart's not gonna be like, hey, you can't wear those plaid pajamas in here or whatever. But it's just not appropriate to the situation. And so if they do that at Walmart, I'm just assuming that in other situations, they're not gonna be appearing appropriate either. Does that make sense? Go ahead, Isaiah.
Is it okay, like, let's say
Listen up, zip it.
a store that's not very far away from your house. Is it
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't wear pajamas in my front yard to check the mail, but that's just me, okay? No, I wouldn't wear pajamas outside. Pajamas are for inside, lounging around, sleeping. They're appropriate to the situation. It's not a hard and fast rule, Isaiah. If you want to, a little bit, maybe. You can. I mean, this is not a hard and fast rule, but I'm just telling you, other people are going to make assumptions based on how you present yourself. I guarantee that. That is a hard and fast rule.
Oh, I got it. But I don't think it's going to make a huge impact on my life.
I would agree with that. But as a general rule of thumb, I would get out of the habit. But that is just me, Isaiah. I mean, if you want to wear pajamas to court, do it. No one's going to stop you. Moses, you had a question?
Yeah. So, like, I feel like sometimes I'll do that just because, like, what are the odds that I'm going to see those people, like, later in my life? I don't really care. Like, I'm not trying to get those people respect because, like, I don't know them. I don't care about them.
I feel you.
And if people that really respect me that I already know, they're not going to look at how I dress for the day and be like, oh, yeah, like I lost all respect for you. You know what I'm saying? Like they already respect me for a certain reason. That's how I feel about that kind of.
You are free to dress really however you want, whether within the normal rules of society, right?
Yeah, you're not like,
What I'm trying to communicate is a hard and fast rule, I guarantee, is how you present yourself, no matter where you're at. If you're at a dinner, if you're at Walmart, if you're in court, if you're at Pineview, if you're getting up in the morning, going to bed, people are going to make assumptions based on how you present yourself. I promise you that. Isaac?
What about cross-dressing?
I'd like you to write that on one of these, like for real. That is really a whole nother topic. Write that on one of those, write it down and give it back to me, okay? Okay? Any other questions on like dress, hygiene, junk like that? What I heard you say, Michael, is, please can we just get this over with because I want to go. Is that what you I heard all that in your voice inflection, which is a great segue into my next topic, which is speech, Michael. Very good. He did that on purpose. Yes, sir.
How many times do you think you should brush your teeth a day? Because there's 3 meals, but that doesn't say 2 times a day.
As many as necessary.
6 times a year.
As many as necessary. Yeah. All right, before I move on, go ahead. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
How long do you take to decide which clothes you're going to wear? And how long do you take to decide, like, when you're in the store, how much you're willing to spend on your clothing or spend on, like...
I mean, that's a fair question. So once you have the basic, if we're talking about like, it depends on the situation, right? Like, I don't care if my pajamas match, right? But if I'm gonna go out to dinner, I actually do put some thought into color coordination. Once you have the basics down, it can be real quick. So for me, for example, I'm 40 years old and I've been dressing myself for at least 10 of those years, okay? So I know the basic color coordination, right? So that's why, for example, I have these kind of grayish shoes on and my belt has gray on it. You see how I did that? But that was real quick. Like this morning, I was like, okay, gray shoes, gray belt. If I wear black shoes, well, guess what color my belt is? Yellow. Black. Get out of here. And then if I have brown shoes, what belt do I have on?
Green.
Brown. Typically, you want to match your shoes with your belt, but that's kind of getting a little more beyond what is necessary or whatever. But, okay.
Why you tuck your shirt?
Because it's appropriate to my position. Yeah. I actually would, in this position, a counseling position and teaching position, I actually should wear a tie. Do you know why I don't wear a tie here?
Because you don't have a PhD.
Did anyone, Michael, you were asking for it, bro. Of course I know how to tie a tie. So here's the thing. Does anybody remember my first few days here? Does anyone remember? There's a few of you.
Didn't I make fun of you because you had a tie? With me and Miss Vicky. Yeah, I remember that.
Did anyone notice I wore a tie?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With my position, being a counselor and or teacher, a tie is actually more appropriate. The reason that I don't wear a tie at Pineview is because it's against the rules. You know why?
You can't wear a tie? Because somebody can hurt somebody with it.
Correct. Because if I'm doing something and someone doesn't like it, it's a real easy thing for someone to grab onto, and all of a sudden they have a noose around my neck like that. Does that make sense?
What about a bow tie?
So in placements, stuff like that, ties are, that's why I don't wear a tie. But if I was anywhere else, if I was in a school, if I was doing a special presentation, I guarantee I'd have a tie
You know what? That is a good question. Why don't you just wear a snap-on?
on. Because snap-ons are vastly against the rules, Gabe, and I'll explain later why. All right, Moses, then we got to move on to speech. Go ahead.
So like, I see what you like. I know I said earlier, but like I see what you're saying.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
If my mom like, oh yeah, we finna bring you to like Buffalo Wild Wings or something like. If I go to school, I wear pajama pants, so I really don't care. Like I wear. For real. But like when I go to like, if I'm gonna go out to eat or something, like you feel me, I'm not gonna dress like a bug because like I want my family to look good too. Like I don't want to look like, oh yeah,
Sure.
you don't even care. Like I see what you're saying with that. But like it do depend, but at the same time, like in certain situations, like I'll dress differently, even
Yeah.
if it's like not the same. Like it's not professional, I'll still dress a little bit like. Feel me? I'll put some jeans on and a t-shirt and some shoes on.
So here's kind of a general rule, and again, I'm not trying to give you hard and fast rules that, you know, when I said don't wear pajamas at Walmart, I was kind of being silly, right? But I wouldn't do that myself. But the thing about it is the more you respect yourself, the better you'll dress. That just is a hard and fast rule, unless it's a different situation, like say a performer, like a rapper. He's on stage. He's not going to wear a suit and tie, right? Because it wouldn't be appropriate to his situation. So he's going to present himself still in the appropriate attire for his position. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with it. But he would still, the things he would have on would probably be high dollar stuff, you know,
Like Gucci, like some
or whatever. Right. Right.
Dollar Tree t-shirt.
Okay, we got to move on. But I appreciate the questions. It's really good. Okay, speech. All right, a couple quotes for you. Listen carefully. Let your speech be better than silence, or be silent.
Who was that by?
Let me say it again.
It was by Rodney.
You know how many things nice to say, don't say it.
Kinda, but it goes further than that. Let your speech be better than silence, or
Don't speak at all.
be silent.
Albert Einstein.
All right, listen to this one. You ready? Listen up. The most dangerous men are those who are articulate. You know what articulate means?
You're good with drawing stuff.
Articulate means you're able to express ideas through words clearly and thoroughly.
Can you read that again?
Yep. The most dangerous men are those who are articulate.
Oh, so like him, right?
He was very articulate, and he was very dangerous.
Those are the leaders. That's why, because they can.
The most dangerous men are the most articulate. And listen to this one. If you can think, if you can speak, if you can write, nothing or no one can get in your way.
So if you could think.
Think about people who have movements on the world. Think about people who have influences on the world. What do they typically do? They either speak or they either write, and that speech and that writing comes from what? Thoughts. Okay? Your words really are a window to your soul. That's a biblical concept. The Bible actually talks about from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you got garbage coming out of your mouth, well, that's not coming just from your mouth. That's coming from inside you. If you're speaking good things, that's also coming from inside of you. Your words really are a window to your internal identity, or your soul, you could say. If you really want to get to know a person, get them talking. Have you ever been around a person where it just seems like they won't talk? They're just stoic and quiet. How well would you know that person?
Not well.
Not that well. Until they what?
So they open up.
Started speaking, started opening up, right? And we show ourselves, we show what's inside of us primarily through our words. So how we talk, what we say is incredibly important. There's one thing that people do that I would encourage you to think about starting now and not doing this. And it's simply this: repeating yourself. Repeating yourself. And here's why. Let's say I have a statement to make. I have an idea that I want to convey, or I want to say something to someone. That's important, whatever it is. And if I have that thing, and let's say that thing that I want to convey is worth something, right? It's valuable what I'm going to share with that person. If I have to repeat myself on the same topic over and over, the value of that thing that I'm communicating doesn't go down. That stays the same value. But my words attached to it, that value does go down. Because it may take 10 times to equal the value, or if it's just one time, then it's worth all the more. With my kids, for example, just kind of with discipline, one thing that I instilled in my kids, both River and Lake, was a thing called first-time obedience, which means if I told them to do something, how many times do you think I had to tell them in order for them to comply? Once. One time. And if I had to tell them twice, that means the first time they what? They disobeyed, right? They didn't listen. So what that meant was, if I had to tell them 3, 4, 5, 6 times to go clean their room or to come over to me or whatever it is, they're going to see my first statement as how much value is there? 0. They're like, I don't have to obey until Dad says it 10 times. I did not want to teach my kids that. I wanted them to understand the value of not just my words, but other people's words. That I only needed to say it one time. It was called first-time obedience. We actually learned it in missionary school. In missionary school, there was a class that taught us basically how to raise a family literally in the jungle. And first-time obedience could literally be life and death. Our kids are down by the river, and maybe there's piranhas in that river. Come away from the river. Maybe there's a snake coming down the tree. They don't see it. Here's my 2-year-old son. River, come on over to me. And if he doesn't come over to me away from the danger, it literally could be life and death. So first-time obedience in that setting could literally be life and death. So what I did is I took that concept, I just applied it here. And I'm like, well, why would words be more valuable in the jungle than here? There's still words, there's still a command, if that makes sense. So your speech is so important. I'll get to you in a minute, Moses. Your speech is so very important. Not only what you say, you 3 right there, and you chill. Thank you. Chill. Didn't you hear the first part of my lesson? So not only what you say, but also how you say it. I would encourage you to make sure that if there's any kind of, the way you say it is communicating something you don't want to have communicated, get that out of your speech. Okay? You ever heard of voice inflection? You know what that is?
Yeah, it's where you make yourself known by when you're speaking.
No, not quite. I mean, it could have to do with that, but not quite. So let me give you a quick example. Voice inflection is like this. You ready? I didn't steal the money. 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 You see how it's the same sentence, but they all mean something different? Did you kind of catch that? It's voice inflection. So that is a tool. I would put that in your toolbox. Your speech is important. When you're before a judge, when you're in front of a teacher in the gym during life skills, I would choose to let your speech be better than silent or be silent. That's what I would do. But your voice inflection is important. How you speak is important. Your words show what?
Your actions.
Emotion.
Good, actually.
Show you.
What's inside, what's in your heart. Okay. All right, let's hasten on. One more thing. Manners. Again, these are lessons that either I did learn as a kid when I was about your age, or I wish I would have. I'm just going to say it straight. You guys ready?
Yes.
Do not ever burp or pass gas at a dinner table.
What about right here? Because he keeps
Never do that. Okay? If you have to excuse yourself to the bathroom, fine. I don't care if you're just sitting at home with your mama. I don't care if you're in a restaurant, dinner table, no place for that. I get that we have human bodies that do things. I get that. But like your dress and your speech, there's a time and place for stuff. And in a gym setting where you're being taught, not the right time. If you're at a dinner table, especially, why is it so important at a dinner table? Why is that a big deal?
Because we're eating. If we smell that, we could puke.
You're eating, well, that goes to the extreme, but yeah. But yeah, you're eating. If you're eating dinner, what is filling the air from the food?
Poo-poo.
No. From the food. The smell of the food, right? Oh my gosh. You guys. So you don't want to do anything that would spoil your dinner or anyone else's for that matter. Okay? If you cough or sneeze, this is something that I see people do all the time. You ready? Don't ever cough or sneeze into what?
Your hands.
Your bare hands. But we see it all the time, don't we? What should you do? Elbow. Or if you're like away from people, like get away from them is really kind of a better thing to do. Why not your hands? Why not?
Touch stuff with your hands.
Clearly. A chew. How's it going? I mean, it's just, but we do it out of reaction, don't we? Out of habit. And I'm just putting it out there. I'm verbalizing to you guys, not smart. Into your elbow or away or whatever. Okay. All right, I want to, just for time's sake, I want to end the lesson with this. I am going to teach each one of you how to properly give a handshake. Okay? Some of you may know how to do it. Let me verbally explain, and then I'm gonna show you. Okay? A couple things about it. One is you always want to shake, even if you're left-handed, LeVar. I know you're left-handed. You always want to shake right-handed. That's just proper etiquette. You shake right-handed. The reason I know the handshaking thing is when I was in sales classes a long time ago, one thing they taught us was how to properly greet a customer and how to shake a hand, okay? Shaking hand, I tell you what, is not in the hands. Does anyone know what it's in?
In your eyes. It's in your arm. It's in your body. It's in your body language.
Sit down, Gabe. What? It's in your eyes. Good job. Jackson's like, yeah, I got it. You're absolutely right. So the handshake itself is secondary, but it is important how you do the handshake, okay? But number one is the eyes. Where do you want to be looking at a person when you shake their hand? Right in their eyes. That's right. Not their forehead, not their mouth, not their chin. Right in their not like a creep. Okay, let me verbally explain it, and then I'm going to actually show you, okay? Everyone's going to do it. All right, so the webbing of your thumbs, everyone go like this. Grab your hand, your right hand to your left hand, and grab the webbing right there, okay? When you shake hands, that webbing should touch the other person's webbing. Man or woman, doesn't matter, okay? So first, that's what you're doing. With an open hand and thumb, it touches the webbing, and then you're going to, gotta be careful how you say this, firmly, but you're not going to destroy their hand. You don't want to crush their hand, but you don't want to go in like all limp either. Here's what I've seen some of you guys do. Now, how often have I shooken you guys' hands? A lot. When you guys come into the lobby, whatever, most of the time, during the interview, most of the time, I shake you guys' hand. Some of you guys need this lesson because some of you guys, what you do is, I don't know why, but you take your hand like this, your fingers, and you kind of grab my fingers and you kind of go like this. Okay? No, it's not dab. No, it's not. That's different. This is just a handshake, and it's so limp and weak. What does that, as a judge, because I'm judging characters, so we all do that, I'm judging appearance, I'm judging smell, I'm judging what you look like, I'm judging how you present yourself, and then the handshake, if it's a decent, firm, but not crushing handshake, what am I going to think about you?
He's a nice, kind guy.
I think you're balanced. I don't think you're a slop. Now, if you're just barely holding on, what am I going to think? You're what?
I don't care. You're a kid.
I'm going to think you're afraid. That's what I'm going to think. Okay? If you come in and you just grab my hand and like, oh, you're crushing my fingers, what am I going to think? Maybe mad, but really I'm going to think, if it's a first impression thing, I'm thinking you're overcompensating.
Overconfident.
That's what, overcompensating. I'm going to think he's hiding something. That's what I'm gonna think. Okay. Here's a weird thing. When I did the handshake training, the question came up, and it's very rare, but well, actually, you know, Isaac, you have your right arm in a sling, okay? Right? Is it your right arm? Yeah. The question came up, what if we have a customer that comes in the door and they don't have a hand? Like, because that does happen, right? What if they have like a hook or something? Do you know what they told? Do you know what they told us?
Shake their little nub.
You grab that nub. That's what they told us. If the guy comes in or the woman comes in and she's up to her elbow, if you reach out with your right hand, you allow them to then come to you. And if they put out their half arm or their hook or whatever, you grab on. But they may, because they're probably used to not having that, they may put out their left hand, and then you switch and then do the left hand, okay? There's been many times when I was in sales, I shook many hooks. I just did. And it's kind of neat, actually. Well, it's like a hook thing, and it may have a pincher. It's a metal pincher if you lose your hand. Have you ever seen that? Have you never seen that? It depends on where it's at. It could be bony or squishy. It depends. Yeah. Okay. All right, very good. I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to show each one of you guys how to shake hands. Have a seat, Michael. And you're last now. And then we'll do pay attention prizes, and that'll be it. All right.
We're gonna do a 3, 2, 1 hand up things.